My name is Margaret, and I am 82 years old. When people see me today, they often smile and say, "You seem happy." I smile back, but they do not know how close I came to spending my final years in complete loneliness. If you are growing older, or if you love someone who is, please listen carefully. There are 5 things you should never do in old age, not because someone made these rules, not because society says so, but because these 5 mistakes quietly steal joy, peace, health, and even years from your life. The first mistake is one that almost destroyed me. Never isolate yourself. When my husband Robert passed away after 56 years of marriage, my world became silent. The silence was unbearable. For decades I had woken up to his voice. I had eaten breakfast with him, watched television with him, argued with him, laughed with him, shared every ordinary moment with him. Then suddenly, the house became empty. His chair remained by the window. His coffee mug sat untouched. His slippers stayed beside the bed. Everything reminded me of him. At first, friends called. Neighbors visited. Family checked on me. But grief made me push everyone away. I stopped answering the phone. I stopped opening the curtains. I stopped attending church. I stopped visiting friends. I convinced myself that being alone was easier. No one understands my pain, I thought. Day after day, I sat in that quiet house. Weeks became months. Months became years. Something strange began happening. My body became weaker. My memory felt foggy. I lost interest in food. I slept too much. Some mornings I could barely find a reason to get dressed. The loneliness became heavier than the grief. One rainy afternoon, I heard a knock at my door. I almost ignored it. But the knocking continued. When I finally opened the door, I saw my granddaughter Emma. She was only 12 years old. She looked at me and said something I will never forget. "Grandma, are you waiting to live again?" Her words hit me like lightning. Waiting to live again. That was exactly what I was doing. I was waiting for happiness to magically return. Waiting for grief to disappear. Waiting for life to become easy. But life was passing by while I waited. That day changed everything. I started small. I called one friend. The next week, I attended church. The week after that, I joined a local senior group. I was nervous. I felt awkward. I almost turned around and went home. But I stayed. And slowly, something beautiful happened. I met people who understood loss. People who understood aging. People who understood loneliness. Some had lost spouses. Some had lost children. Some had lost their health. But they had not lost hope. Together we laughed. Together we cried. Together we shared stories. And little by little, my heart began healing. One day, a man named Harold said something wise. He said, "Loneliness grows in closed rooms." I never forgot those words. Loneliness grows in closed rooms. Many older people believe they are protecting themselves by staying isolated. But isolation is like a slow, moving storm. You do not notice the damage at first. Then one day you realize the storm has taken everything. Your confidence, your joy, your purpose, your energy, your connection to the world. The truth is simple. Human beings were never meant to live alone. Even the strongest people need companionship. Even the most independent people need conversation. Even the happiest people need connection. You do not need 100 friends. You do not need a busy social calendar. Sometimes one meaningful conversation can change an entire day. One phone call, one visit, one shared meal, one smile, that is often enough. Years later, I met a woman named Helen. She was 87. Her children lived far away. She spent most days alone. One afternoon, she admitted something heartbreaking. She said, "Sometimes I go to the grocery store just to hear another human voice." I could see tears forming in her eyes. Nobody should feel that alone. Nobody. That conversation reminded me how important connection truly is. If you are listening right now, please hear me. Do not wait until loneliness becomes your normal. Call someone, visit someone, join a group, attend a class, volunteer, go to church, walk in the park, talk to a neighbor. Life still exists outside your front door, And sometimes the healing you need is waiting there. Old age is not meant to be a prison. It is meant to be a season of wisdom, a season of sharing, a season of connection, a season of love. The first thing you must avoid in old age is isolation, because once loneliness settles into the heart, it becomes difficult to remove. Stay connected. Stay involved. Stay present. And never forget this truth. The world still needs your voice. The world still needs your stories. And somewhere, someone may be waiting for the exact kindness only you can give. This is only the first lesson. The second mistake is even more dangerous because millions of older people make it every single day without realizing it. And it slowly steals their independence, 1 year at a time. A few years after I learned the painful lesson about loneliness, I made another mistake. At the time, it seemed harmless. In fact, many older people do exactly the same thing. They believe they have earned the right to rest. After decades of working, raising families, paying bills, and carrying responsibilities, they finally reach a stage in life where they think, now I can take it easy. And of course, there is nothing wrong with resting. The problem begins when resting becomes a lifestyle. The second thing you must avoid in old age is this: do not stop moving. I learned this lesson the hard way. After my husband passed away, I spent more and more time sitting. At first, I sat because I was grieving. Then I sat because I felt tired. Then I sat simply because it became a habit. Every morning, I would sit by the window with a cup of coffee. Then I would sit in front of the television. After lunch, I would sit in my favorite chair. Before I realized it, entire days passed with very little movement. Weeks became months. Months became years. And slowly, my body began sending warnings. My knees felt stiff. My back hurt. My balance worsened. Simple tasks became difficult. Walking upstairs left me breathless. Carrying groceries felt exhausting. Even getting out of bed required more effort. One morning, I dropped a magazine on the floor. I bent down to pick it up. Suddenly, I lost my balance. I fell hard. Thankfully, nothing broke. But lying there on the floor, unable to get up immediately, I felt something I had never felt before. Fear. Real fear. Not fear of dying. Fear of becoming dependent. Fear of needing someone else for every little thing. Fear of losing my freedom. That fall became a turning point. A week later, my doctor looked at me and said something I have never forgotten. He said, "Margaret, your body follows your habits." Such a simple sentence. Yet it carried enormous truth. Your body follows your habits. If you move regularly, your body adapts. If you stay active, your body becomes stronger. If you stop moving, your body begins shutting down little by little. That realization changed my life. I did not join a gym. I did not start running marathons. I simply started walking. At first, it was difficult, very difficult. The first walk lasted only 10 minutes. I remember feeling embarrassed. Years earlier, I could walk for hours without thinking about it. Now 10 minutes felt challenging, but I kept going. Every day, rain or shine. Slowly, those 10 minutes became 15, then 20, then 30. Within a few months, I noticed remarkable changes. My energy improved, my mood improved, my sleep improved, even my confidence improved. I felt alive again. One morning, while walking through the neighborhood park, I met a gentleman named Frank. Frank was 90 years old. 90. Yet he moved better than many people half his age. Naturally, I asked him his secret. He laughed and pointed to his walking shoes. Then he said, "The day you stop moving is the day old age wins." I smiled. But the more I thought about his words, the more I realized he was right. Old age is not simply a number. It is often a series of choices. Small choices repeated every day. The choice to move, the choice to engage, the choice to stay active, the choice to keep living. Frank taught me something else. He said, "Most people think exercise is about adding years to life. It's really about adding life to years. What good is living longer if you cannot enjoy the life you have? What good is extra time if your body prevents you from experiencing it?" Movement is not about looking young. It is not about competing with younger people. It is about preserving your independence, your dignity, your confidence, your freedom. A few months later, I witnessed a heartbreaking example of what happens when movement disappears. My neighbor, George, was 81. George had spent years sitting in front of the television. Every invitation was declined. Every opportunity to walk was ignored. Every suggestion to stay active was met with excuses. I'm too old. Me knees hurt. I'll start next month. But next month never came. One day, George suffered a minor health setback. It was not severe. Most people would have recovered quickly. But because his body had become so weak, recovery became extremely difficult. Simple movements felt impossible. His strength had disappeared. His balance was poor. His muscles had weakened. Within a short time, he lost much of the independence he once took for granted. Watching him was painful. Not because he was old, because so much of it might have been prevented. The truth is that movement acts like medicine, and unlike many medicines, it costs nothing. A walk around the block, stretching in the morning, gardening, dancing, swimming, playing with grandchildren, even simple household chores. Every movement matters. Every step matters. Every effort matters. You do not have to be perfect. You simply have to keep going. I remember visiting my granddaughter Emma one summer afternoon. Her young son, little Noah, was learning how to ride a bicycle. He fell again and again. Each time, he stood back up, again and again. Watching him, I realized something important. Children naturally understand something many adults forget. Progress comes through movement, not perfection. Movement. Noah did not learn by sitting on the porch. He learned by trying, by falling, by getting back up. Life works the same way. Especially in old age. The body was designed to move. The mind was designed to engage. The spirit was designed to grow. When movement stops, many wonderful things stop with it. Hope weakens. Confidence fades. Independence shrinks. Joy becomes harder to find. But when movement continues, something powerful happens. You begin reminding yourself that you are still capable, still valuable, still alive, still growing, still becoming. Today at 82, I move slower than I did at 40. Of course I do, but I still move, and that makes all the difference. Every morning I take a walk. Some days are easier than others. Some days my joints complain. Some days I feel tired. But I go anyway, because I know something now that I did not understand years ago. Motion creates momentum, and momentum creates life. If you are listening to my voice today, please make a promise to yourself. Do not surrender your mobility without a fight. Do not let a chair become your entire world. Do not wait until weakness forces change. Start where you are. Start small. Take one walk. Climb one flight of stairs. Stretch for 5 minutes. Dance to your favorite song. Move your body in whatever way you can. Because every step you take today is an investment in tomorrow. And remember this, your future self is watching the choices you make right now. Give that future self the gift of strength. Give that future self the gift of independence. Give that future self the gift of movement. Because the second thing you must avoid in old age is stopping completely. Keep moving. Keep living. Keep showing up for yourself. The third mistake is one that breaks countless hearts and destroys relationships that took decades to build. And sadly, many people do not realize they are making it until it is too late. There is something nobody tells you about growing older. Your body changes. Your energy changes. Your routines change. But one of the biggest battles happens inside your heart. It is a battle between pride and love. And if pride wins, the cost can be devastating. The third thing you must avoid in old age is this: do not let pride push away the people who love you. I learned this lesson from my older brother, Thomas. Thomas was always the strong one in our family. When we were children, he protected me from bullies. When our father became sick, Thomas stepped forward and helped support the family. When life became difficult, everyone looked to him for strength. He was dependable, hardworking, responsible, and proud, very proud. For most of his life, that pride helped him succeed. But as he grew older, it slowly became something else. It became a wall. After Thomas turned 80, simple tasks started becoming harder. His eyesight weakened. His balance wasn't what it once was. His memory occasionally failed him. Nothing unusual for someone his age. But Thomas refused to admit it. Whenever someone offered help, he became irritated. Whenever his children showed concern, he pushed them away. Whenever friends suggested assistance, he insisted he was fine. "I don't need anybody," he would say. At first, everyone respected his independence. But over time, they became worried. One winter evening, his daughter Susan called me. I could hear tears in her voice. "Aunt Margaret," she said softly, "I don't know what to do anymore." I asked what happened. She explained that Thomas had slipped while carrying groceries into the house. He wasn't seriously injured, but instead of calling anyone, he spent hours struggling alone because he refused to ask for help. That broke my heart. Not because he fell, because he suffered alone when people who loved him would have come immediately. The next day, I visited him. We sat quietly in his kitchen. After a while, I asked him a simple question. "Thomas, why won't you let people help you?" For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his eyes filled with tears, real tears, the kind I had rarely seen from him. Finally, he whispered something that changed my understanding forever. He said, "Because every time someone helps me, I feel like I'm losing a piece of myself." Suddenly, I understood. This wasn't stubbornness. This wasn't arrogance. It was fear. Fear of becoming weak. Fear of becoming dependent. Fear of losing the identity he had carried his entire life. Many older people understand this fear. For decades, they were the helpers, the providers, the protectors, the problem solvers. Then one day, life changes, and now they need help. That transition can be painful. But here is what Thomas eventually learned. Accepting help does not make you weak. Refusing love does. There is tremendous courage in allowing others to care for you. Because love was never meant to flow in only one direction. Think about it. When your children were young, did you consider them weak because they needed you? Of course not. You loved helping them. You felt honored to care for them. Now imagine how they feel when they have an opportunity to care for you. For many families, helping an aging parent is not a burden. It is an expression of love, a way of giving back, a way of saying thank you. Yet pride often prevents older people from receiving that love. I remember meeting a woman named Dorothy during one of my community group gatherings. She was 86 and lived alone. One day she shared a story that left the entire room silent. She said her son called every single Sunday, without fail. Yet for years, she answered each call with complaints. She criticized him, questioned his decisions, dismissed his concerns, corrected everything he said. Eventually, the calls became shorter, then less frequent, then almost disappeared. One Sunday, the phone didn't ring at all. At first, she was angry. Then she was hurt. Finally, she realized something painful. Her son hadn't stopped loving her. He had simply grown exhausted. Exhausted from trying to reach someone who never allowed herself to be reached. Dorothy cried as she told us this story. Not because she had lost her son, because she realized she had spent years building distance without meaning to. Sometimes pride does not appear as stubbornness. Sometimes it appears as criticism, control, negativity, the constant need to be right, the refusal to apologize, the inability to listen. These habits quietly damage relationships, especially in old age. The older we become, the more valuable our relationships become. Not less valuable, more valuable. Family becomes precious. Friendships become precious. Conversations become precious. Time itself becomes precious. That is why protecting relationships matters so much. A few years ago, I experienced my own lesson in this area. My granddaughter Emma wanted to help organize my medications. At first, I felt offended. I thought she was treating me like a child. For several days, I felt irritated. Then one evening, I sat alone and thought carefully. Was Emma trying to control me? No. Was she trying to embarrass me? No. She was trying to help. Because she loved me. The next day, I thanked her. That simple decision strengthened our relationship. Had I allowed pride to take over, I might have created unnecessary distance between us. Love often arrives disguised as assistance, as concern, as advice, as support, as presence. When we reject all of those things, we sometimes reject love itself. One of the wisest men I ever knew was a retired teacher named Walter. He lived to be 94. People often asked him the secret to a happy old age. His answer was surprisingly simple. He said, "Stay teachable. Not physically strong, not wealthy, not famous. Teachable." He explained that many people stop learning as they grow older. They stop listening. They stop adapting. They stop accepting guidance. And in doing so, they become isolated from the people around them. Walter remained curious until the end of his life. He listened to younger generations. He welcomed new ideas. He accepted help when needed. And because of that, people loved being around him. His humility attracted people. His pride did not push them away. That is a lesson worth remembering, because none of us can stop aging. None of us can stop change. None of us can control every challenge life brings, but we can choose how we respond. We can choose love over pride, connection over isolation, humility over stubbornness. And those choices shape the quality of our later years more than almost anything else. If you are listening today, take a moment to think about the people who care about you, the family members who call, the friends who check in, the neighbors who offer help, the grandchildren who want to spend time with you. Do not push them away. Do not assume you are a burden. Do not believe you must carry every struggle alone. Allow yourself to receive the same kindness you have spent a lifetime giving to others. Because one day, what you will treasure most will not be your possessions, not your achievements, not your bank account. It will be the people who stood beside you through every season of life. Protect those relationships, nurture them, appreciate them, and never let pride build walls where love is trying to build bridges. Because the third thing you must avoid in old age is letting pride push away the people who love you. And sadly, the fourth mistake is even more common. It quietly steals happiness from millions of older people every day. Not through loneliness, not through weakness, but through something many people carry inside their minds without even realizing it. There is a quiet thief that steals more happiness from older people than almost anything else. It does not knock on the door. It does not announce its arrival. It slowly moves into the mind and settles there. Then, day after day, year after year, it steals peace. That thief is regret. The fourth thing you must avoid in old age is this: do not live in constant regret. I know this lesson because I nearly became trapped by regret myself. When I was younger, life moved fast. There were children to raise, bills to pay, jobs to work, responsibilities everywhere. Like many people, I believed there would always be more time to travel, more time to reconnect with old friends, more time to pursue dreams, more time to say the things that needed to be said. Then one day I looked in the mirror and realized I was 70 years old. The years had passed much faster than I imagined. Suddenly, my mind became crowded with questions. What if I had taken more chances? What if I had worried less? What if I had spent more time enjoying life? What if I had forgiven sooner? What if I had spoken kinder words? Those questions followed me everywhere. At first, they seemed harmless, but over time, they became heavy. Every memory became attached to a regret. Every reflection became a criticism. Every mistake became evidence that I had somehow failed. One afternoon, I visited an old friend named Carol. Carol was 88 years old and one of the wisest people I have ever known. As we sat on her porch, drinking tea, I confessed something. I told her I was spending too much time thinking about the past. She listened quietly. Then she smiled and asked me a question. "Margaret, if you spent all day staring through the rearview mirror while driving, what would happen?" I laughed. "I'd crash." She nodded. Exactly. Then she said something that changed my life. The past is for learning, not living. I repeated those words over and over in my mind. The past is for learning, not living. How many people spend years living in memories they cannot change? How many people replay old mistakes every day? How many people punish themselves for decisions made decades ago? Far too many. The truth is simple. Every person reaches old age carrying some regrets. Every person. No exceptions. Some regret opportunities they missed. Some regret relationships they lost. Some regret words they spoke. Some regret words they never spoke. Some regret risks they never took. Others regret risks they did take. That is part of being human. But there is a difference between remembering and living inside regret. One helps us grow. The other slowly destroys our peace. A few years after that conversation with Carol, I met a man named Richard. Richard was 91 years old. One day during a community gathering, he shared a story. When he was young, he dreamed of becoming a musician. Life had other plans. He married, raised children, worked long hours. The dream faded. For decades, he regretted never pursuing music. Then one day, at 85 years old, he bought a used guitar. Everyone laughed. Some people thought he was crazy. Others thought it was pointless, but Richard didn't care. He began taking lessons, slowly, patiently, one chord at a time. When I met him, he smiled like a child every time he talked about music. He wasn't famous. He wasn't performing in concerts, but he was happy because he finally stopped mourning the life he didn't live and started enjoying the life he still had. That lesson stayed with me. Many people believe old age is a time for looking backward. I disagree. Yes, reflection is important. Yes, memories matter. But life is still happening, even now, even today, even at 80, even at 90. As long as you wake up in the morning, your story is not finished. I remember another woman named Eleanor. Eleanor spent years regretting a painful argument she had with her sister. The sisters stopped speaking. Months became years. Years became decades. Neither one reached out. Both waited for the other. Then one day, Eleanor learned her sister was seriously ill. Suddenly, all those years of pride and regret felt meaningless. She made the call, a difficult call, an emotional call, a healing call. The sisters cried together for hours. A few months later, her sister passed away. Afterward, Eleanor told me something powerful. She said, "I regret the years we lost, but I don't regret making that call." That story taught me another important truth. Regret often points toward action, not punishment. Action. If you regret losing touch with someone, call them. If you regret never learning something, start learning. If you regret never traveling somewhere, make plans. If you regret withholding forgiveness, forgive. If you regret not expressing love, express it now. The future is smaller than it once was. That is true. But it is not gone. Many older people spend so much time grieving yesterday that they forget today is still available. And today is precious. Far more precious than we realize. One evening, my granddaughter Emma showed me a photograph. It was taken many years ago. In the picture, my husband Robert and I were standing together at a county fair. We looked young, happy, carefree. For a moment, sadness filled my heart. I wished I could return to that day. I wished I could relive those moments. Then Emma said something beautiful. She pointed to the photograph and said, "Grandma, one day you'll look back at today and realize these were good days too." Those words hit me deeply. Because she was right. We often romanticize the past while overlooking the blessings sitting directly in front of us. The conversation with a grandchild, the laughter of a friend, a beautiful sunset, a warm cup of coffee, a quiet morning, a kind neighbor, a healthy day, a peaceful evening. These moments matter. And if we spend all our time trapped in regret, we miss them. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself in old age is self-forgiveness. Not because your mistakes didn't matter, but because carrying them forever serves no purpose. You are human. You have made mistakes. So have I. So has everyone. But your mistakes are chapters in your story. They are not the entire story. The person you were 20 years ago is not the person you are today. You have learned, grown, changed, survived. That deserves grace. That deserves compassion. That deserves forgiveness. As I sit here today, I still have regrets. Of course I do. There are things I wish I had done differently. Words I wish I had spoken. Moments I wish I had appreciated more. But I no longer allow those regrets to control my life. Instead, I let them teach me. And then I move forward. Because every remaining day is too valuable to waste living in yesterday. If you are listening right now, I want you to hear this clearly. The past cannot be changed. But your relationship with the past can. You can choose gratitude over bitterness. You can choose forgiveness over guilt. You can choose growth over regret. And when you do, something remarkable happens. Your heart becomes lighter. Your mind becomes calmer. Your future becomes brighter. No matter how many years you have left. Because the fourth thing you must avoid in old age is living in constant regret. Learn from the past. Honor the past. But do not live there. There is still life to be lived. There is still joy to be found. There are still memories waiting to be made. And now we come to the fifth and final mistake. It may be the most dangerous one of all, because it causes people to quietly give up on themselves long before life is truly over. There is one final mistake that I have seen destroy more joy, more hope, and more purpose than almost anything else. It is not loneliness. It is not pride. It is not regret. It is something even more dangerous because it happens quietly. No one notices it at first. Family may not see it. Friends may not recognize it. Even the person experiencing it may not realize what is happening. The fifth thing you must avoid in old age is this. Do not give up on life before life gives up on you. I wish someone had told me this years ago, because there was a season in my life when I slowly began giving up without realizing it. Not in a dramatic way. Not all at once. Just little by little. I stopped making plans. I stopped setting goals. I stopped looking forward to things. I started believing that all the important chapters of my life were behind me. Perhaps you know that feeling. You reach a certain age and society begins sending messages. People stop asking about your dreams. They stop asking what you hope to accomplish. They stop asking about your future. Instead, they talk only about your past, your career, your accomplishments, your memories, your younger years, as if your future no longer matters, as if your story is already finished. But one of the greatest lies people believe in old age is this: my best days are behind me. I believed that lie for a long time. Then I met a remarkable woman named Rose. Rose was 93 years old. 93. The first time I met her, she was planting flowers outside her home. She smiled constantly. She laughed easily. She talked about future plans. Future plans! At 93! Naturally, I asked her secret. She put down her gardening shovel, looked directly at me, and said something I will never forget. Margaret, every morning I wake up and ask myself one question. I leaned closer. What question? She smiled. What beautiful thing can I do today? Such a simple question. Yet it completely changed my perspective. Not next year, not someday, not when circumstances improve. Today. What beautiful thing can I do today? That question brought purpose into every day of her life. Some days the answer was planting flowers. Some days it was calling a friend. Some days it was baking cookies for a neighbor. Some days it was writing letters to grandchildren. The activity changed. The purpose remained. She always had something to look forward to, something to contribute, something to enjoy, something to love. Watching Rose made me realize that age does not destroy purpose. People abandon purpose. And when purpose disappears, something inside us begins fading. I remember another man named Samuel. Samuel retired at 65 after a successful career. For decades, his identity was connected to his work. Then retirement arrived. Suddenly, he no longer had deadlines, meetings, projects, responsibilities. At first, retirement felt wonderful. Then something unexpected happened. He felt lost, not because he lacked money. Because he lacked purpose. Every morning felt the same. Every week felt the same. Every month felt the same. Without realizing it, he began drifting through life. One day, his granddaughter asked him a simple question. "Grandpa, what are you working on these days?" He didn't know how to answer. The question haunted him. That evening, he sat quietly and reflected. What was he working on? What was he building? What was he contributing? The next month, he started volunteering at a local library. He helped children learn to read. At first, he thought he was helping them. Eventually, he realized they were helping him too. They gave him a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to prepare, a reason to engage with life, a reason to feel needed. His entire outlook changed. Purpose returned, and with it came energy, hope, joy, meaning. Many older people think purpose must be something huge, something impressive, something extraordinary. That is not true. Purpose can be wonderfully small. Purpose can be watering a garden, reading to a grandchild, writing family stories, helping a neighbor, learning a new skill, teaching someone younger, making someone smile, encouraging someone who is struggling. The size of the purpose does not matter. What matters is having one, because purpose gives direction to life, and direction creates hope. I once visited a nursing home where I met a gentleman named Henry. Henry was 97 years old. Most people expected him to spend his days watching television. Instead, every morning he sat at a small desk and wrote letters. Hundreds of letters. Letters to family members. Letters to old friends. Letters to soldiers. Letters to strangers who needed encouragement. One day I asked him why he spent so much time writing. His answer brought tears to my eyes. He said, "As long as I can brighten someone's day, God still has a reason for me to be here." What a beautiful way to see life. Not focused on what he had lost, focused on what he could still give. That is the mindset that keeps people alive inside. Not just breathing, living. There is a difference, a huge difference. Many people continue breathing for years after they stop truly living. They stop dreaming, stop hoping, stop trying, stop caring. And little by little, their world becomes smaller. But the people who age beautifully do something different. They remain curious. They remain engaged. They remain hopeful. They continue finding reasons to smile, reasons to learn, reasons to contribute, reasons to love. One afternoon, my granddaughter Emma sat beside me on the porch. The sun was beginning to set. The sky was painted with shades of orange and gold. We sat quietly for a while. Then she asked me a question. "Grandma, what's the most important thing you've learned about growing old?" I thought carefully. After a few moments, I answered, "Life doesn't stop being valuable just because you become older." She smiled. And I realized that was the lesson hidden behind all 5 mistakes. Life remains valuable always. Whether you are 40, 60, 80, or 100, your life still matters. Your presence still matters. Your wisdom still matters. Your kindness still matters. Your story still matters. Never let anyone convince you otherwise. Not society, not strangers, not even your own fears. Because the truth is this: as long as your heart is beating, there is still a reason for you to be here. There is still someone who needs your encouragement, someone who needs your wisdom, someone who needs your love, someone who needs your story, and perhaps that someone has not even met you yet. Looking back, I realized these 5 lessons changed my life. First, do not isolate yourself. Stay connected. Second, do not stop moving. Keep your body active. Third, do not let pride push away the people who love you. Accept love when it comes. Fourth, do not live in constant regret. Learn from the past, but do not stay there. And fifth, never give up on life before life gives up on you. Hold on to purpose. Hold on to hope. Hold on to joy. Hold on to possibility. Because growing older is not the end of life. It is simply another chapter. A chapter that can still be filled with meaning. Still be filled with laughter. Still be filled with love. Still be filled with beautiful moments. And if you remember nothing else from my story, remember this: the number of years behind you does not determine the value of the years ahead of you. Every sunrise is a gift. Every day is an opportunity. Every moment is precious. So wake up tomorrow with gratitude. Look for something beautiful. Call someone you love. Take a walk. Share a smile. Learn something new. Help someone. Dream something. And most importantly, keep living. Because your story is not over yet.